For a student of knowledge, a non-Arab, what would you recommend to bring to begin with? And if they focus on hifd more, is it important to first of all know the meaning of what you are reciting? It depends on the age of the person who's memorizing. If the person who's memorizing is young, like a child, and is younger than the age of 10, then just make them memorize a lot. Encourage them to memorize everything. If you've got children, you focus on making those children memorize everything that comes their way. Give them everything. Make them, first of all, start with the Quran. Once they finish the Quran and they memorize the Quran, you give them 𝗪𝗁 النووية. You also make them memorize these little mutun, 𝗕حفة الأطفال, مقدمة الجزرية, البيقونية. These little books, 𝗪𝗀𝘁𝘂𝗹𝗮. These little books, you make them memorize it. Children are good at memorizing. Once they pass the age of 10, and they've memorized all of those books I've mentioned, like this book, 𝗪𝗀𝘁𝘂𝗪, and they've memorized 𝗪بعون النووية and عمدة الأحكام, and they've also memorized the Quran, and they've memorized البيقونية, and they've memorized تحفة الأطفال, and they've memorized سلم الوصول إلى علم الأصول, and they've memorized نظم in fiqh الزبد لابن رسلان or something like that. Then you start to sit down and explain things to them. After that, you start explaining something to them. For the next 5 years, they take the shuruh of those books. So from the age of 10 to 15, the books have been explained to them now. Everything they memorized, explanation, 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 explanation. After the age of 15, they've not only memorized, but they've now understood it. But if the person is older than 15, then there are ahkam and rulings that you have to always implement. And there's obligations upon you. Sahih? There's obligations that are upon you. Those obligations you need to fulfill. So you can't just sit down and memorize. So you combine between understanding and memorization. What is it that you have to understand in the religion? The knowledge that is known as ilm al-daruri, necessary knowledge. Aqidah. وبعد فالتوحيد علم ينبل على العلوم كلها ويفضل قد أوجب الرحمن منه قدرا ليس يصح الدين حتى يدرى. There's an amount of tawheed that you have to know. There's also an amount of seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam you need to know. ولذلك there's one small book I would encourage everyone to try to teach to everyone who's young, big, whatever it may be. It's a book called دروس مهمة لعامة الأمة. Important lessons to the general mass. It's written by Sheikh Abdulaziz Ibn Baz. This kitab encompasses the necessary, essential things for everybody. The Sheikh mentions it in there. Things that are essential and important for everybody to know. So that book also will help, inshallah ta'ala.